I'm going to talk to you today about sharing and why I believe sharing and collaboration should be in all of our futures. And actually change, I think everybody in this room, and I know people were talking about it earlier, it is a time of change, and you were talking about it's a brave new world, it's a brave new world of possibility, and it's a brave new world of challenge. And one thing IBM talk about, and I love this, is that the speed of change has never been so immense, and customers' expectations have never ever been so fierce. And what they say is, and this is the thing I think is very interesting, your customers' expectations are not driven by their last best experience by you, or even directly in your competitive set. They're driven by their last best experience with anybody. So that need for for us to meet those expectations is extremely demanding. If you look at social media and the way the blurring of categories and lines, the way the feed gives you information and everything from alcohol, the latest Kardashian news, to here's a shed you looked at randomly somewhere else. So the blurring of information that I'm getting. And in this context, in this brave new world, we believe you are stronger together, and that's if you work collaboratively, if you work collaboratively internally, if you work collaboratively bringing your agencies together, and if you work collaboratively with other brands so you can do more, understand more, and be more agile in this demanding market. And collaboration is actually a feature of the way that we are and the way that we behave as people. We're sharing more than ever before, whether that's stories with Snapchat, and I've seen so many parents in fear of the dark sharing of Snapchat, where images of their teenage children disappear, to stories that are being shared and creativity. We've got a VP of planning who's a psychologist, Dr. Wayne Fletcher, and everything about him is perfect. His Mac Pro, his iPad, and I said to him the other day, I said, Wayne, what on earth has happened to your screen? And he's got these grubby fingers all over it. And he said, my children have discovered Musical.ly, where they're making videos all weekend. So actually people are getting involved in creativity like never before. We're investing in businesses, whether that's through crowdfunder, Kickstarter in the UK. Content. I've recently had to go back, it's hideous, into the world of modern collaborative sharing dating, horrendous. And actually, I didn't even know that YouTubing was a pastime. Oh yeah, I'm YouTubing. What? You're 44, what are you talking about? You're YouTubing. Maybe I should go YouTube. But the sharing of content, and actually services, I think it's a really crazy time. Just the way whole categories, the hotel category, with me being able to, actually this summer I put my house on Airbnb. It was again another terrifying experience, and went to Italy and worked remotely because of connectivity. My house survived, it was okay, and but actually it's just created whole new categories, and the business dynamics that have come out of that. If you look at Uber, I think it's fascinating. One brilliant business, whether you love them or you hate them, totally shaken up a category, but the dynamics of the way that they're doing business, because Uber has lost, they think today, 1.27 billion because of subsidizing, price wars. So the dynamics of competition, so again, that need for collaboration is ever more pertinent. And just recently, the internet turned 25, and that has fueled this possibility of collaboration, because it made it easier for us to find information, but also to connect with each other. And in that context, it's easier, more convenient, and less costly for us to collaborate, either with our consumers or within our business. But even though consumers are doing it, we're all doing it. In business, it's still a bit of an anomaly. Whether working with other businesses or working internally in a collaborative way, it's still an anomaly. And that's because we've all grown up with, and we've got, I see it, we've all grown up with this idea that we're there to compete, to dominate. And still within, the interagency environment, we say we're all interagency and we're working collaboratively, but it's actually very, very difficult. Even with the best intentions, it's very, very difficult, because there's so many blurring of lines between what different agencies do that actually it can be quite protectionist. Because it's all agencies coming together, it can also be quite hard. There isn't always a clear process. I always talk about collaboration it is an art. You need the chemistry, you need the ideas, you need the brilliant people, but it is a rigorous science and process. So it doesn't happen in business, and I think probably you'd find in your own organisations there still can be a lot of conflict, because when there's so much change happening, new departments are coming, new structures of ownership, And actually, there is a real opportunity for business through collaboration. So recent research by Accenture showed that those businesses that are proactively collaborative in the way that they do business and the way that they work internally show a 4% growth differential. So sharing is not only good, it's good for business. The forces, and I don't need to tell you, all of you know this, but there are things that are making this need for collaboration even more relevant. Advertising fatigue, ad blocking, access over ownership. There are no car brands in the room, but car companies are terrified that all of the research is coming out and people are saying, younger consumers are saying, I don't want to own a car. I just want to have access to a car. Distrust in brands, technology. I know that Nick and Christian were talking about earlier. We've been in the dark for a long time, and there are glimmers of possibilities. But actually, I think that, I started out crazy days of '99, the first digital boom, the bust, the boom, the bust, in terms of digital possibility. And one of the things that we always talked about was the ability to one-to-one target. And actually, through some of the stuff I'm doing with operators and mobile businesses, actually some of that possibility is here that can shed a light and actually enable us to target people on a one-to-one basis. Economic, it's hard, our budgets are squeezed, and actually we're having to be agile. When there's competitors like Uber who are so well funded they can compete on different terms, we have to be agile in the way that we compete. So there is a need. So who is Cherry? Cherry's my agency. I founded it 6 years ago because I saw a need in the market. I thought there was a need for a different model, that there needed to be a new kind of marketing agency that worked in partnership with clients and really leveraged this collaboration, because no one agency has the answer, no team has the answer. So we're a marketing agency that specialise in collaborative working, co-creation. That can be creating ideas with your own teams. We work with everybody, we're really neutral, so often we are just the strategist. So on Priority that I'm going to talk about, we are the strategic agency and we deliver strategic brand partnerships, and we work with the other agencies to deliver the above the line, the customer marketing. We specialise in brand partnerships. We've got a relationship with over 5,000 brand partners, but we really know those businesses because we've done a lot of work with them. We host a lot of senior engagement. So when we kicked off the work with Visa, we had the leadership team at Visa ask all of the other leaders of the co-sponsors to come together and say, what could we do together to get that top-down support? And we work in London and we work globally, which I also think is a sort of sign of the times and what's possible through new connectivity. Where we're at our best is actually where we're building deep customer relationships at scale to change businesses over time. And I'm going to talk about, it's probably the best example, and sadly I thought Phil was going to be talking about, but the work that we've done with O2. So there are 3 ways that we kind of unlock that potential. One is working collaboratively to offer fresh perspectives. And again, if we've been operating in the dark, actually we believe that partnerships can offer or partners can offer an insight on an audience that you don't know about. And I'll talk about the work that we've done for HSBC globally with their high net worth individual program for top tier of Premier, and actually how their partners just gave them a view of that audience, that the luxury market is fast emerging and changing, that they didn't have. And then how we solve tough problems. We do that through a process called Cherry Bomb. And that I love because actually you need to do the answer together. And I believe I have a lot of clients saying to me, we don't want you to go away and answer the problem, nor should we be. We should be answering it with you and your teams and your people. And so we've got a process that brings people together. So I'm also going to talk about TripAdvisor, and we brought together 120 of their people from around the world to write their partnership strategy. And it means that they're involved, they're engaged, and we did it over 2 days. So it's working together to deliver that, but it means that they're bought into they know why we did it, they know what we are doing, and now we're all working together to deliver that. Creating new ideas and possibilities through partnerships. I'll talk about it, but O2 was founded, and particularly the work with Priority has been the absolute heartland of that is strategic partnerships, whether that's with the RFU for over 17 years or a series of strategic partnerships to deliver new benefits and opportunities for customers. This was one of my favourite examples recently was Lady Gaga and Tom Ford. And in fashion, and it's one of the most successful things that Tom Ford's ever done, and he's very proactive digitally and in partnership, but fashion shows are boring, no one wants to watch them online, and so he actually teamed up with Gaga to put his autumn-winter collection in the music video. So it's just a great example, and it's one of the most successful launches that he's done. Lady Gaga wanted to come back on the scene, so it's just an interesting way to answer a challenge. It isn't a customer benefit, it's actually just a new way to change perceptions and reach people in an engaging way through partnership. And leveraging the invisible network, given the possibilities of technology, it's very hard to do it all. And actually, so one of the things that we believe is use an invisible network and work with the people that are brilliant at what they do, whether that's a new personalization capability that leverages the sensors in the phone, that senses what a loud environment you're in, how you're moving, and a personalization engine to actually use that. Those possibilities are there. We don't want to offer them, we want to work with the best people in that space, and it's with an emerging world of possibility and that partnership that enables you to offer that to your clients and possibilities, we think is really important and the only way to play. We've also developed a number of JVs just so that we can do real-time content targeting real-time. That's not what we do, but it's what they do. And then the other one is we also work with a network of opinion formers, so really deep knowledge of a category. So for example, we work with Sian Sutherland, who founded a brand called Mio. She's a brand creator, a maven for kind of women's confidence brands. And we've been working on a new nutrition brand for women. And we brought in some amazing bloggers, we brought in a psychologies editor, and together we actually said, what's the possibility for this brand? And it's giving us real-time information of people who really understand that audience to answer the problem. So we have a formula for greatness, and this is a story. This is something that we've developed through all the work that we do, and we're working with a wonderful institute called the Milken Institute. And I've stolen this from him, and I love this story. I now tell it all the time. But he's been doing a lot of research into the animal kingdom. What are the most successful animals in teams at reaching an outcome? And it's the killer whale. And the killer whale goes out in teams, so there's always a family, and sorry to say, it's always the women. It's the grandma, it's the mum, it's the daughter and the granddaughter. And they always go out with a shed. We're going to go and hunt today. We're going to find a seal, and they have a tactic, and we're going to knock this poor seal off the iceberg. So they put their heads up, they see the seal, and the grandmother knocks the seal off, and the seal's like, oh no. And then suddenly the grandmother puts the seal back on, and then the grandmother lets the younger whale do it. So there's shared knowledge. So it's just a really interesting that already they're communicating, they have a planned outcome, a planned tactic, and they're sharing that knowledge between them. And so that they lead to our 4 things, which is focus on people. As I said, it is an art, and culture and chemistry matter. And it isn't just having all collaborative, people that get on with other people. It's actually about having catalysts, so people who are challenging, but people who can negotiate and ask different people to participate. It's a focus on shared outcomes, and it's a focus on bold action. And I think that leads to the second point of it's a science and it's rigorous. You have to manage the hell out of it. You've got to have a way for people to participate, build on ideas together, and to take them forward within a business context. And then you have to learn. You have to learn what you learned from that experience, and the best collaborations or partnerships are enduring over time. Just to give you a few more examples, I think I love a brief. I love writing it all down, but actually I think some of the best things that we've had the privilege of working on have been, don't start with the answer, with a really detailed brief. Actually, let's start with a broad question. When HSBC came to us several years ago, HSBC Global, they wanted a program for high net worth, top tier of their premier customer base. And they're really global. They live all over the world. They've got something that's why I went to Italy and put my house on Airbnb. They live above the map. And I thought, how wonderful to live above the map. They live above the map. And how do we understand this audience? And what could we do to move from a really distant relationship that only exists with our relationship managers? And sadly, if that's only with our relationship managers, they leave, they move, and our customers leave. So the question was, how do we understand these customers better? And what would they want from us? And so we did what I call the cherry bomb. We had 2 days, and the first day was about understanding the challenge and the opportunity within HSBC. So we had the relationship managers come and talk to the team, and we had different rooms and we asked different questions. And the relationship managers are like, really, I get to participate in this program? And so we got a lot of knowledge. We did a lot of the kind of dynamics of what we were actually trying to achieve at a commercial level. And the second day, we actually said, let's understand this audience from a different perspective. We've read all the research, we know everything, we've read lots, we've done our own research. but we got in De Beers. And we said, we want you to give us a different light or a different perspective on that audience. So we had a room with De Beers, and Jenny Farmer, who's also a good long-term client, talked about how the emerging luxury market, so what they're finding in diamonds, in markets like India and China traditionally have been gold markets, but the shifting emergence and speed of which they're moving in terms of luxury and moving towards diamonds, and some of the dynamics of dealing with such a broad market like China and how we could approach that. One of the big learnings which I thrilled to this day was through Louis Vuitton. So Louis Vuitton hardly talk to anybody, and they've got a great relationship with my MD. They came in and they talked about how their digital strategy, and the reason I loved that insight, because HSBC wanted to do everything in a one-to-one personal way, and actually Louis Vuitton said, no, our biggest innovation for the business has been having personalised one-to-one experience through in-store digital experience when you walk in. So whether you're in Shanghai or you're Moscow, I know what you've bought, I know your relationship, I know who you're connected to. So because of that insight, HSB thought it is an absolute imperative that we deliver this on a one-to-one digital basis to our customers, and so a mobile application sits at the heart of that. So by answering a question, a broad question, we were able to create a very different brief than perhaps the client started with what they thought the programme would be. We also had in the room Saatchi's, we had in Mindshare, so that together we were able to craft this brief. So when we had the strategy, when we engaged the partners, which is Etihad, My Teresa, I can't even think what some others are, everybody was on board, they believed in it, and when it rolled out, the relationship managers went, we crafted this, so we're going to champion this internally, and it's been hugely, hugely successful for HSBC. Without risk or without bold action, there can be no breakthroughs. And I think one of my favourite questions is, where are you on the risk profile? And even if your company is risk averse, that's good to know. But I think in the current environment, we just have to step a bit further than where we would like to and try new things. We work with TripAdvisor, as I said, and one of the big questions of the workshop when we brought everyone together was actually, we've taken on this team and they're very nervous because we're quite a risk-averse culture, and they haven't thought about what's possible, but they're also a bit scared to take a step. So half of the workshop was actually inspiring them. So we brought in Converse, which, some of the stuff that they've done is so inspiring, but so kind of wow and out there. And we also brought in Sony Music, again, just to shift their thinking, to say this is possible, but also to give them confidence that that different thinking could deliver business results. And then we worked with them all to create the strategy. Again, because they were part of it, now we're rolling it out, whether it's North America in London, they all know what we created together, and they've bought into that, and then they can also do their own. They're delivering it themselves in their individual markets. So, to O2 priority. So it's a relationship that we've had for half a decade, which is sadly more than my marriage, which is why I find myself in that hideous world of dating. And I went to the Ronan Dunn. So Ronan Dunn, the CEO, is leaving. And after 15 years in the business and 9 years of fearless leadership, and he's handing over to Mark Evans, who's also great. Delia said I spoke too much about Ronan. I said, I've got a crush on Ronan, but no, I don't. Ronan's been awesome. He's been an awesome CEO, and he said one of the things that three things have helped O2 get to such a great position. And I think O2's had the largest organic growth of a customer audience, so they've grown to 25 million without acquisition. Priority is the number one reason why they stay. It's also, O2 as a brand has their highest ever loyalty measure. And he said the three things that have helped do that, and going back to my Wales story, are: one, focus on his people, so focus on people and involving them in the journey; two, a focus on customers; and three, partnerships. And I think, we were there with the RFU, and the RFU has been a partnership with O2 for 17 years. It's one of the most long-standing sports sponsorship partnerships. And I was in the room with people I've actually worked with, agencies I've actually worked with over those 6 years, and some have been there, like VCCP, over 10 years. So we've all worked together, shoulder to shoulder, on some of the tough challenges we've had, some of the price wars we've faced, some of the challenges we've had when the network went down for 3 days several summers ago. And actually that working relationship has actually given O2 a real strength in the market. And I think, even though we love procurement and we love to turn things around, actually having those long-standing relationships that know you and your business can actually help you compete. The brief that we had was to harness new ideas, to use partnerships, and to use technology and the possibility of what we could do with targeting people based on where they were and what their preferences were. And this is our story.
Does that make you love me, baby? Does that make you want me, baby? Does that make you love me, baby? Does that make you want me, baby?
We engaged. I was at Orange when we launched Orange Wednesdays, and when the Orange Wednesdays contract came up with the Cinema Association, we went and actually engaged as O2 to see whether we would consider taking it on. And our strategy for O2 has always been really different. It's actually been go to individual studios, develop individual relationships and own the property yourself, which is what we did, and it was the right thing. But we thought, we'll go and engage anyway. And we had this sizzle off with them. They were like, let us show you a film sizzle. We were like, let us show you an O2 sizzle. And it's the only time I was like, they played theirs first, and we were like, oh God. But actually our sizzle, which was that one, was well received. So have a good sizzle video if you're going to meet the Cinema Association. The relationship with O2, they started with music, a really bold move by Sally Chowdhury, go and sponsor what was the Millennium Dome. It's an enduring partnership, it's now one of the most successful music venues, and what it's given O2 is an absolute association with music, but actually fans, and they can bring together up to 20,000 fans to see an artist like Beyonce, like Jay-Z, before anyone else through 48-hour ticketing. And that's been hugely, O2 customers have loved that, and they still engage with that at such record levels. We broke the system when we launched Adele ticketing, 48-hour pre-sales. It's been extended into the academies. Rugby, as I said, one of the longest standing sponsorships in sport. One of the things that Ian, the CEO of RFU, said this week was, even though it was a dismal World Cup, we knew that we would have our partners in O2 who actually still, were very championing of O2, the Rose and British Rugby. And the brief we got was, okay, great, you might love music, you might love rugby, you might not. And even if you do love music, you might go once a year, and you might go to rugby once a year, and O2 offers wonderful things. You can get a chance to train with the team, you can get a pie and a pint on match day, you can get a game on England ground, but actually you might be lucky if you get that, and you might not get that regularly. So how do we reach more people with their passions? How do we do it personally, and how do we get them access to their passions more than they would before, and how do we do it first so they access them first? So we developed the strategy. As I said, we were very different from the Cinema Association. It was a partnership or a sponsorship that had gone. So our strategy was actually to say, we want to own film, we want to do it first, we want to give access to films before anyone else, we want to give access to talent, we want to get people on the red carpet, we want to create bespoke content. So we did individual partnerships with the studios, whether that was 20th Century Fox or Warner Brothers, also with the cinemas, with Odeon. But what it meant is we owned it. No one could ever take it away from us, and we always had a strong position, and we changed the relationship by leveraging the power of our customers, 21 million at the time, to actually say that's a media channel, and your investment in us is you give us access to those movies, you pay for the screening, you give us the content, you give us the stars. And that's how the relationship has worked. We've also extended that to the small screen with TV. I was very skeptical, proving you have to risk and try things, and actually get access to Made in Chelsea First on your phone was hugely successful, a collaboration with Channel 4. We did the biggest film with Star Wars. Hugely successful. We sent 1,600 people to the global premiere, but we also give little merchandise, which I'm sorry, if you ask me now, I don't have any R2-D2 key rings. Everyone still says, have you got some? I'm like, no, I gave them all away over the years. But they were such a covetable thing, and people were queuing around the corner to get this merchandise when we launched. Gaming. When we started working in gaming, 75% of O2 customers game. And that isn't hardcore gaming, that's on a mobile phone, more broadly, and only 65% console, so really broadly across their customer base. And actually gaming, unlike film, who are very, very savvy in partnerships, gaming hadn't done a lot of partnerships. So we went to the gaming producers and said, we want to work with you. And they're like, oh, great. So we've developed some great strategic relationships, and again, replicated that strategy of get it first, so buy a game before anybody else, believe it or not. It's a huge benefit. We've also created a beta testing community, so a games testing. So we give away beta codes, like this one here, I have to look at the name, Call of Duty Black Ops. 2,000 went in 11 minutes. I mean, it's just like an absolute frenzy. We also have done things like the chance to create a new character for a game. So really involving people in their passion and getting them closer to it. We've actually done it, we haven't got it here because there's so many passions, but actually reading, we've done the same. Get your child's name in a book, meet the author. And reading's been really, really successful. Being there first with sport, great job with English rugby, but actually we said, let's do stuff for real people. So I've had 2 weird calls from O2 over the years, many weird calls of demands, but the first one was with English rugby. They said, oh, well, and Jamie, if he's in the room, will know this one. We won't know, actually, it's in your favour. When English fans go to watch the rugby in Wales, they're really upset because they have to pay for the Severn Bridge. Tamara, could you negotiate free across the bridge for English fans, which was one of my more interesting partnership conversations with the highways people, which I was like, and then in the same week, the head of Priority rang me and said, I want to give 50,000 people a bike service in the UK. Make it happen. So that's when we started working with Halfords. So we said, let's work with Victoria Pendleton. She'd just come out so successfully after the Olympics. We'll do a ride out with Victoria Pendleton, but let's give real people the chance to get on their bikes. So we did bike servicing, we did helmets for kids, we did bike locks, and actually practically just helped people get active. We've done 100,000 swims over the summer. And some of you have probably seen, and if you haven't, go use it because it's a great benefit, just making every day a little bit better through O2. So there's a £1 lunch with Boots on a Monday. When we started working on Priority, I approached Boots in 2009. 4 years later, we launched with the Boots £1 lunch because they needed to have the confidence that this was a program that they wanted to be part of. It's a really successful partnership for them. And we've worked with Cafe Nero since the beginning, offering a free coffee on a Tuesday to customers. And it's just kept people in everyday moments, but also part of every day coming back to O2. We created and again, I think it's that part of going to market and understanding the benefit of what you've got through learning. We've created a really powerful marketing channel where customers are opening it, every day, every month. And actually we said, well, let's have our complete customer loyalty conversation from O2 here. So we were able to identify where is it where people start to wane in their love for O2? Where do we need to reach out to them? And let's do it personally. So we did this through a series of rewards that are delivered through Priority as gifts, where, if you're a higher value customer, you might get £20 to spend on Debenhams. It's a voucher on your card. And we changed the commercial relationship. So O2, rather than paying for issue of a voucher, only pay when the customer uses that voucher. So we've saved millions off their vouchering on the vouchers for rewards business that they previously invested in. And it's had great results. It's why it's gone from one of their top 10 programs to the top 3 programs, because millions of customers have engaged with it. It's the #1 reason why they stay. We didn't expect this, but through Envy, it's the #3 reason why people join. And it is having a significant impact on customer value and churn because they're staying longer. So there's the ROI that they're getting on this is 1 to 19. And in the future, and this, I think that actually we've been pushing, because Priority's been so successful, and I've been really fortunate enough to have worked on it, actually I think we've sat on our laurels, and what we're looking at now is how do we use the power of technology to actually take it to the next level, because the power of targeting and personalization is here, and we need to be seizing that and using the knowledge that we have. So that is what the next step of Priority is going to be all about. So there's more to come in that space. Wherever we go, and this is actually Phil's message, is customers, he's going to continue to champion, actually he's not, he's going to continue to champion Tesco's customers, but O2 are going to continue to champion their customers, agency partners, and truly working in partnerships to answer the question collaboratively, and one team. I've hired a lot of people to go into the Priority team when we launched and train them and put them in the O2 team, but actually just working together to adapt, learn, and continue to innovate. Whatever way we look at it, it's a brave new world, and it is not going to be anything it's not business as usual from 5G to VR to AI. So my main message is together we can, but mainly together we must, to innovate, move ahead, and take advantage of the possibilities. Thank you.
Guys, has anyone got any questions? All right.
That was terrific. Thank you so much. Just as you were speaking, I was thinking that I know Cherry did some work with Premier League, which highlighted something that was going through my mind about hearing what you think you're going to not hear when you're asking for that briefing that you discussed.
Yeah, so when the Premier League came to us, they said fans aren't travelling. Football fans are not travelling for away games. We've got declining tickets. How do we boost that? And we just want to get the money off getting there. That's exactly what they want. And actually what we discovered through insight and research was actually what football fans were really frustrated about was they'll book travel and they'll book hotels. And when they booked it, the fixtures would change and they'd have to move them, and they'd lose, because they'd done a kind of, a cheap deal, they'd lose that booking. So one of the big things that we did was to go and negotiate just flexibility. If the fixtures change, you can change your travel booking, you can change your hotel booking, as well as make the sharing experience when you're traveling better. And it's not what it's not what the brief said, and actually we delivered a very different program just by going in and investigating what customers wanted and learning as we went.